Welcome one and all. This video is about how on earth the bonkers 0S motorcycle qualifies as a CBT and A1 legal motorbike. But to start with, if you're new to the channel or haven't yet subscribed, hit that pause button and subscribe. Today's video is all about the 0S and how it is hands down the fastest bike currently on sale that you can ride on an A1 licence. Unless you're riding a Zero, nothing on earth comes remotely close. How mad? Well, this bike has 4 times the power of the most powerful petrol 125 currently on sale, and, more importantly, 9 times the available torque. In fact, it produces more peak power than you'd be allowed to even ride on an A2 category bike. To understand this a little better, we need to take a closer look at the licensing laws in the UK. To ride on an A1 licence, you need to be over 17 and have completed your compulsory bike training, or CBT, or alternatively have passed your full A1 test. Once you've passed that, you can then ride a motorcycle with an engine capacity of up to but not exceeding 125 cc's. The bike is limited to 11 kilowatts of power, or in old school, just under 15 brake horsepower. On an A2 licence, you will need to be 19 or over and will be restricted to a bike that produces no more than 47 horsepower, or for younger viewers, 35 kilowatts. For a full unrestricted A licence, you will need to be 24 or over and passed your test on a bike that weighs at least 175 kilograms, is at least a 600cc bike, and produces more than 50 kilowatts of power, or 67 brake horsepower. So, if we look at the very fastest 125cc bikes available to buy at the moment, we have the KTM 125 Duke, the Yamaha R125, and the MT125. As a comparison, the Ninja 400, which is an A2 category bike, produces power of 33.4 kilowatts or 49 brake horsepower and 38 newton meters of torque, or 28 pounds-foot of torque, depending on which we prefer to look at. So it might surprise you to learn that the 0S produces peak power of 44 kilowatts or 59 brake horsepower and 109 newton meters or 80 pounds-foot of torque. And to put that into perspective, that's more torque than a Ducati Panigale V2. So how, in God's name, is this an A1 bike? Well, it's all down to the way they measure the power. Unlike petrol bikes, electric bikes aren't measured on peak power, but on continuous peak power over a 30-minute period. Why? Well, electric motorbikes can't produce their peak power over a prolonged period, and after a short time, the peak power tends to drop off. So that's how Zero get around the licensing laws. No, it's a little bit more disingenuous than that. What they do is, wait for it, they simply restrict the top speed to 86 miles an hour. Actually, they don't. Because it's got all that power and torque, the bike pulls like a train all the way up to the top speed. Mine pulls all the way up to 90 and then suddenly stops accelerating and then gradually reduces the speed back down to 86 miles an hour. And it won't go any faster than that once you've done that. So when it's tested on its continuous power, it peaks at 11 kilowatts over a prolonged period of time. Let's be honest, it's a very crafty cheat, but it is a cheat. You can't do this by limiting the top speed on a petrol bike, because the power would show up in every lower gear all the way up to this limited top speed. What the Zero delivers is performance that's more in line with a 5 or 600cc bike than a 125. According to bikeswiki.com, an MT125 will do 0 to 60 in about 13 seconds, an R125 about 11 to 12 seconds, a Ninja 125 around 13 seconds, a Honda CB125 around 14 seconds. If we go up in class to an A2 bike, you have the Ninja 400. That does it in about 5.5 seconds. Now, I did a little impromptu 0 to 60 run at the weekend, For this video, I'm using the Race Timer app rather than relying on the Speedo. The 60 mark came up in 4.7 seconds, and that was with the battery showing roughly 50% of charge, so I reckon I could shave another couple of tenths off that with a fully charged battery. So that puts it into perspective just how fast it is. And yes, I know the top speed is limited to 86 miles an hour. And if you want to lose your licence, or you feel the need to have to ride your bike with an installed number plate flipper to protect your licence, then clearly this isn't the bike for you. But on the open road, this bike will keep up with most bikes. Where it really excels, though, is in commuting. This is a bike that is so easy to ride, it doesn't have a clutch or gears to worry about, with the added bonus that without the noise of an engine, you can hear everything that's going on around you, especially in the summer when I ride it with the chin bar flipped up on my helmet. The range on my bike seems to be getting better as the miles rack up on it. Originally I was getting about 150 miles of range on a full charge, which is about £3 worth of electricity when charged fully. Now, whether I've slowed down a bit or I'm using the regen better, this summer I've been getting close to 190 miles of range, which even exceeds Zero's claims for the bike. The bike has 3 performance modes. Eco mode, which I never really use. It's too slow off the line. The sport mode is great in the dry for getting away from the lights, but I don't use it for 2 reasons. 1, it kills the range, and 2, the sport mode lacks regen on the bike, so there is very little engine braking, and additionally the brakes lack power because the regen can be linked to the brakes as well, but in sport mode it doesn't give you this braking regen. So I use a custom mode, which is set up from the app. The setup for my custom mode is with 74% of the available torque, engine regen at 82%, and brake regen at 100%. There is a third reason why I don't use sport too often, and that's because the bike doesn't come with traction control, which I believe is a major oversight. And unless the road conditions are absolutely perfect, it will break contact with the road surface. I'm expecting the upcoming replacement for the Zero S that comes in later on this year to have traction control as standard. I love this bike, but it's bloody expensive to buy and to insure. But for me it's worth it. I'm saving around £2,000 per annum in fuel costs versus the energy costs to charge it. However, and it is a big however, I would not recommend this as a learner bike for a young rider. But if you've got a healthy bank balance, and more importantly, a healthy dose of self-preservation, this could be the perfect bike for someone looking for the most exciting A1 bike you can ride. From my perspective, it's a bike that I could ride on an L plate, take my A1 test, and then ride the bike without feeling that I wanted more power and need to upgrade the bike. The mid-range punch of this bike is fabulous. No having to be in the right gear, just dollops of torque, and it never gets boring. I know for some, the spiritual connection, perfecting the skill of that, being in the right gear at the right time is what it's all about. Downside, well, it's not a bike to go touring on. You can, but why bother? Unless you like spending hours at a motorway service station charging your bike. And for the modders who want that extra loud exhaust, it goes without saying, this is not the bike for you. Whether you like the idea of riding an electric motorbike or not, I would recommend you take one for a test ride and just see what it's all about. It might just surprise you. As for the Zero S, there will be bargains out there at the end of this year as the replacement stock comes in for the new model, and dealers will most likely be offering discounts on any stock they've got left on the old model. So, if you're really interested in it, try and snap one up at a bargain. If you've liked this video, hit that like button. Thanks for watching and stay safe out there.